I spent 3 years thinking I had been abandoned by my family. I never imagined that the truth behind their silence would be far worse than I could ever have imagined. My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how my life completely shattered. Because my family ghosted me for 3 years only for me to find out that the silence had a dark, unimaginable reason behind it. I had always been close with my family. We were the kind of family that spent holidays together, shared everything, and never kept secrets from each other. Or so I thought. It all started after my younger brother, Jake, left for college. It was the summer of 2019, and he had just graduated high school. The whole family gathered to send him off, as we always did with any major life event. I hugged him tightly, told him to take care, and wished him the best of luck. But something felt different that day. Jake wasn't his usual cheerful self, and I couldn't shake the feeling that he was hiding something from us. I didn't think much of it at first. After all, kids leave for college all the time, right? But soon after he left, I started noticing the strange distance in our family dynamics. At first, it was small things. Mom didn't call me as often as she used to. Dad started spending more time at work. My sister, Emily, seemed lost in her own world. I assumed it was just normal growing pains. We were all adjusting to Jake being gone. But then, I received the first blow. Jake stopped replying to my texts. Not a single response to my "Hey, how's college?" messages. That was strange. Jake was never one to ignore texts, especially not me. So I did what any concerned sister would do. I called him. No answer. I left a message. No call back. Weeks passed. Still no response. I turned to Mom, asking if she had heard from him. She simply said, "Oh, you know how he is, busy with school." That didn't sit right with me, but I didn't push it further. Maybe he was just going through some changes. After all, college was a big step for him. But then things took a darker turn. My mother, who had always been my closest confidant, started acting strangely distant. She began avoiding my calls, making excuses, and when I visited home, she wasn't there. Dad became almost entirely absent, working late or going on business trips. Something wasn't adding up. And then came the day I found the first hint that something was terribly wrong. I was going through old family photos when I stumbled upon a letter. It wasn't addressed to me, but I could see the handwriting. It was from Jake. It was dated just a week after he left for college. The letter said, "Mom and Dad are keeping things from you, Sarah. I don't know how to say this, but I think they've been hiding something important. Please don't trust them. I'll explain more later." My heart raced as I read it over and over. But the part that made my stomach drop was the last line. "If something happens to me, you'll know where to find the truth." I had no idea what Jake was talking about, but I knew one thing for sure. The family I thought I knew was hiding something from me, and it wasn't just about college. It was something much darker. After finding Jake's letter, I felt like I was drowning in confusion. What did he mean by "don't trust them"? Who was he warning me about? I tried reaching out to my parents, but every attempt was met with cold, vague responses. When I pressed them, they became defensive and irritated. It was as if they were hiding something. But what? In the following weeks, the ghosting continued. I tried to keep in touch with Emily, my younger sister, but she was practically a stranger. The usual family group chats were silent. I found myself desperately trying to keep things together, but no one was responding. My calls went straight to voicemail. My messages were left unread. My visits to the family home were met with locked doors and empty rooms. I became obsessed with finding out what had happened. I went to Jake's college, hoping to find him there and get some answers. But when I arrived, I was told that Jake had withdrawn from classes and was no longer enrolled. Nobody seemed to know where he had gone. I felt completely alone. My family, who I had loved and trusted my entire life, was gone. I felt abandoned, betrayed, and lost. What could possibly make them shut me out like this? What had happened to Jake? I had no answers, just an overwhelming sense of dread that something was very, very wrong. I couldn't give up, though. I started to dig deeper. I called old friends of Jake's, but they had no idea what was going on. I even went so far as to hire a private investigator to look into it. The investigator found nothing useful, but the fact that he didn't find anything suspicious only deepened my fear. Where had my family gone? What were they hiding from me? And why? It wasn't until one fateful night, 3 years later, that I would find the answer that would change everything. It had been 3 long years of silence, 3 years of wondering, searching, and grieving. And then, one evening, I received a strange message. It was an encrypted email with no sender's name, only a link to a file. My first instinct was to delete another spam email, perhaps, but something told me I couldn't ignore it. I clicked the link. The file contained a video. At first, I didn't recognize the faces of the people in it, but as the video went on, the truth became clearer. It was a recording from a hidden camera placed in our family's living room. My parents were sitting together, looking grim, while Emily and Jake stood nearby, visibly upset. And then my father spoke. "We can't keep this secret any longer," he said. "Sarah will never forgive us, but we don't have a choice." The camera shook slightly as someone shifted, and then I heard my mother's voice, low and shaky. "We thought she would be better off not knowing. She's too sensitive. But now, I don't know how we can keep this from her any longer." It was then that the truth came crashing down. The family I had loved and trusted had been hiding the most horrible secret of all. Jake had been involved in something illegal, something that had put our family in danger. He had run away to escape the consequences of his actions. But it wasn't just Jake. Emily had known about it too. And my parents? They had covered it all up to protect their image, to protect me from the shame. They had ghosted me, kept me in the dark, because they believed that the truth would destroy me. I couldn't breathe. I had been living in a lie for years, and now I knew that my family's silence had been a carefully crafted charade. The next few months were a blur of confrontation, heartache, and ultimately, forgiveness. When I confronted my parents, they tried to justify their actions. They claimed they did it to protect me from the truth, to spare me the pain of knowing what Jake had really done. But all I could feel was betrayal. How could they have kept this from me for so long? How could they have treated me like a child, as if I couldn't handle the truth? I had to make a choice. Could I ever trust them again? Could I ever rebuild the relationship we had for a while? I didn't know. The wounds ran too deep, and the anger too fresh. But as time passed, I came to realize that I wasn't the same person I had been before. I wasn't the naive, innocent girl who had believed in the perfect family. I had learned the hard way. That family wasn't always what it seemed, and sometimes, even the people you love most can hurt you in ways you never imagined. Eventually, I forgave them, not for their actions, but for their humanity. They were flawed. We were all flawed. And maybe, just maybe, we could heal together. Family is supposed to be the one place you can trust. But sometimes, the people you love most can hurt you in ways you never thought possible. The most important thing is not whether they make mistakes, but whether they can admit them and try to make things right. The road to healing is long, but it begins with honesty, understanding, and forgiveness. If you've ever felt betrayed or abandoned by someone you love, drop a comment below. Don't forget to share this story if it resonated with you, because no one should feel alone in their struggles.